All right, the first step in merging a number of projects together into one is to create the master project. And the master project typically is going to be an empty container, might have a default topic, but it's the child projects you reference that will store all of the content. So here from the starter, the best option for creating an empty container, maybe with one default topic, is to create a new blank project. We'll select that and we'll just give it a name, How to Use LDC. Notice down below there will be a first topic created, the default title being first topic. We can change that right from here. Let's type in how to use lynda.com. And when we click finish, we'll have the beginnings of our master project. Really all it is at this point is a brand new blank project with our default topic. How to use lynda.com. We'll click and drag over the placeholder text, delete it with the delete key, and let's just type in the year. We'll save that by clicking the save button. Now we have the shell that is going to be our master project. What's missing is the reference to our child projects, and that's the next step. We need to go find those. Well, if we go over to our project manager and click the table of contents plus sign to expand that, you'll notice there is a default table of contents. Now you can create another table of contents or simply use the default, because if we look at the table of contents pod, there's nothing there. This is a blank project. The table of contents pod is where we're going to add references to our child projects. And to do that, you need to be able to see this little guy up here, New Merged Project. If you can't see that button, you might be able to click the drop down or simply expand the pod by clicking and dragging its border until you can. So we'll click that and you'll notice two tabs at the top. HTML help. So if your child project is an HTML help project, it's going to end with the extension CHM, and you're going to type in the name or locate that file. The child projects I have for you in the exercise files are web help projects. So Flash Help, Web Help, and Adobe Air Help projects, if we click that tab, have the extension XPJ. We just need to go find them now. So clicking the Browse button or Folder button allows us to do that. So if you have the exercise files, go to that folder, go to the Chapter 3 folder, and double-click 0302. That's where you'll find folders for each of our child projects. We'll start at the very top with General Info. Double-click that one, where you'll find the XPJ file. Click that, click Open, and that inserts it into the project name field. And when we click OK, it is indeed at the top of our table of contents. We can reorder this later, but why not get it in the right order from the start? So we need to repeat those steps for each of our child projects. So again, we'll click the Browse button. We'll browse to our exercise files. And in the 0302 subfolder is where you'll find the next one, Navigation. Double-click that shortcut. Double-click the XPJ file, inserts it quickly into the project name. So when you click OK, it becomes item 2 on our table of contents. So again, repeat those steps for our third one, which of course is our courses. So when you locate that, double-click it and click OK. And now we have 3 items in our table of contents. Remember, we haven't actually inserted the projects into this master, just references here in the table of contents. So we have the beginnings of our master project. If we want to see what this looks like, all we have to do is generate it. Now, if you do want it to look nice, you might want to choose a skin. And if you go to Flash Help, for example, and right-click and choose Generate from there, you can choose from different skins. And there is a gallery. You can click the drop-down if you've been using this, but the gallery does allow you to choose from a series of different skins and preview them on the right-hand side. We'll just click Cancel here and cancel this. If you're generating a Web Help project, let's go to Web Help here at the primary layout and right-click and Generate. You're going to be using the default skin. So here we don't actually see a gallery button, but we do see at the very top an opportunity to change what users will see on the title bar. How to Use LDC is the name of our project. We're going to change that to How to Use lynda.com. You'll want to make sure you're selecting a location such as the desktop that's easy to find. I'm keeping mine there on the desktop in the How to Use LDC folder. And when we click Save and Generate, it doesn't take long. We have the opportunity now to view the result. Click View Result, and there it is. The beginnings, there's our default page, and in the table of contents area, links to each of our child projects. Look what happens though when we click a link. we're going to see this error message saying it cannot find the files. So we have to make sure the path is correct or the internet address is correct. In this case, it's the path. So we click OK, and step 2 is to actually generate each of these child projects to the correct location. We'll talk about that next.